Get ready, because a truly record-breaking wave is about to hit the Indian stock market. We're talking about dozens of companies lining up to go public. And the forecasts? Well, they're pointing to a number so big it could seriously redefine India's place in the global economy. And the year you need to watch is 2026.
$20 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the colossal figure that investment banks are projecting for just a single year of public offerings in India. To put that into perspective for you, that's more than the entire GDP of some countries. So you see, this isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It's a massive signal of a huge economic shift.
And yeah, it's a forecast, but it's not just an abstract one. This number, it represents a real tidal wave of capital, of ambition, and of course, investor confidence. And it's all set to crash down on India in 2026. It's really a testament to years of growth finally hitting a critical mass.
Okay, so the big question, right? Why now? What on earth is creating this perfect storm for IPOs? Well, that's what we're about to dive into. We're going to break down the key drivers, the major companies in the mix, and what this whole boom really means for everyone.
All right, first things first. Let's really try to wrap our heads around this $20 billion forecast to truly grasp the sheer scale of what's happening here.
And just so we're all on the same page, a quick refresher. An IPO, or initial public offering, that's the moment a company goes from being privately owned to publicly traded. It's a huge step. It lets the company raise a ton of money to grow, and it gives you, me, and everyone else a chance to own a little piece of that business.
Now, to see just how wild this is, you got to look back. In the past, India's biggest, most record-breaking years for IPOs hovered somewhere around, say, $10 to $12 billion. That's a lot of money, but $20 billion? That's not just a little better, it's a monumental leap. We're talking about nearly doubling the previous highs.
So, what's fueling all of this? You can pretty much boil it down to two foundational pillars. On one side, you have these incredibly strong economic fundamentals, which create a really stable launchpad for growth. And on the other, you've got this maturing startup scene that is now churning out solid, often profitable companies that are genuinely ready to go public. They're moving way beyond those old cash burn models of the past.
But hey, this isn't just some abstract market trend, right? It's being driven by real, actual companies. So let's take a look at the key players who are lining up to get a piece of this $20 billion rush.
What's so amazing is the diversity here. I mean, you have the National Stock Exchange itself, the very engine of the market, planning its own listing. Then there's Oyo, a tech disruptor that completely changed the hospitality game. In manufacturing, you've got a B2B unicorn, Zetwerk, showing just how deep India's industrial tech scene is. And in healthcare, Neuberg Diagnostics represents a sector that is just booming with investment. See, this isn't one industry getting hot. It's like the entire economy is firing on all cylinders.
But, as significant as all those companies are, there is one IPO in this pipeline that is so large it could single-handedly redefine the entire market. And that, of course, brings us to the crown jewel of the 2026 lineup, Reliance Jio. We're talking about the telecommunications and digital behemoth from billionaire Mukesh Ambani's empire.
And look, the hype around this is, well, it's not an exaggeration. Not at all. Analysts are already calling it potentially the biggest ever IPO in the country's entire history. Jio completely transformed India's digital landscape, so its public listing is going to be a landmark event. And this isn't some far-off dream either. The timeline is already taking shape. After the public announcement, we're expecting the official papers to be filed in early 2026, with the goal of hitting the public market by the middle of the year. This isn't just an event for India, it's a global one. You can bet investors from New York to Tokyo are going to be watching this very, very closely.
Okay, so you've got these huge numbers, these big company names, but why should you, or really anyone who isn't glued to the stock market every single day, actually care about this? Let's zoom out a little and look at the bigger picture.
What does a $20 billion wave like this really signify for India and its place in the world? What are the ripple effects here?
Look, an IPO boom of this magnitude is like sending up a massive flare for the rest of the world to see. It screams that India's economy isn't just growing, but it's maturing. It shows that the country is building valuable, scalable businesses that can compete on a global level. And that, in turn, opens up all these new doors for international investment and helps cement India's position as a major, major player on the world's financial stage. So, the forecast for 2026 is crystal clear. But an unprecedented boom like this also raises a really fundamental question about what comes next.
So, what are we really looking at here? Is this $20 billion wave the start of a new, sustainable era of economic growth for India? Or is it the frantic peak of a market bubble that could be heading for a correction? The answer to that question is going to define the next decade. And it's what makes 2026 a year we absolutely have to watch.